show. I'm your host, Dom Sweeney, and I'm here today with my brother from the same mother, the great Declan. How you doing, bud?
Doing fantastic, man. Super happy. We've had a little bit of a lull. I'm very excited to get back into it. How about yourself?
Oh, brother, it's been a day, man. Have you ever had one of those days where you get into your car, your truck, or whatever you drive, and your gas light is on, your tire pressure light is on, you look at your phone and it's on 20%. You like, and to put it into perspective, I got to get this time zone thing down, dude, because I keep screwing that up. Where you're at in Baltimore, you're an hour, what is it, an hour ahead?
I'm an hour ahead. And
right.
I made that mistake, what was that, 2 weeks ago? It's sitting around waiting for your call, texting you, hey, you okay, man?
Yeah, dude. That's what happened to me today. So I bounce out from work. I've got all this stuff going on, super busy. We got Halloween coming up and we get slamming for that. So I leave work. I'm hauling ass home. The gas light's on, like I already said. The battery on my phone is under 20%. I'm thinking about all this stuff that I've got to do to get set up. I'm thinking that I have 45 minutes of time to prep. So, and then I get your text, and it's like, "You okay, man?" and I get home, and I like speed all the way home. So I'm obviously flying home. I whip into the driveway, I run inside, and I realize that the dang generator next door is on because they're doing this construction. So God. You remember that?
Oh my God, dude, so loud.
Yeah, so loud. So the generator's on. I'm like, hitting my head going, why? And I get inside. I realize that the only place in the house that I can jam the podcast out today is in the bedroom. And Stevie's trying to get ready to go do her deal this evening. So it's just one, and I had a mini meltdown. I really did. I freaked out.
The reason I lead with "Are you okay?" when it comes time to cast off, and I haven't heard from you, is because I know how much this podcast means to you, and I know that if you're not hitting me up right at be it 11 a.m., 4 p.m. on the dot, I'm like, something's up. Hope Dom's okay. Gotta check in on him.
Dude,
but those days, dude, they happen, man. They happen.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The cast is super important to me. I've been trying to, for years now, I've been trying to figure out what it is I'm going to do with my life and how I can contribute to the world, and with all the crazy stuff going on, what I can do to be a part of the solution to that. So I take it really seriously, and if I spend hours getting prepped and scheduling my day, and lo and behold, total storm happens on the way home. And then here we are now.
Life happens, man. There's no stopping it. And the thing that I like the best about when we started talking about doing this podcast is your idea that the only solution, the only thing that we can do, or the only way that we can contribute as citizens of the U.S., if we have a problem with what's going on, we need to talk about it. And you said the only thing that we can do is have a conversation. We need to make our voices heard. And it makes so much sense. I mean, you can throw your hands up in the air and be like, I cannot do anything about what's going on. I'm so helpless. But then when you think about it, and you can actually just talk about it, and it makes you feel so much better. And if other people hear it, that is a contribution. That is, it's the beautiful thing about podcasting.
Right, man.
It doesn't require much from you, and, it might help you out, might help other people out. It's phenomenal.
Totally, dude. I couldn't have put it better myself. I think it's super important that we're no matter what side of the aisle you're on, the conversation has to be had, and it has to be had responsibly. And that's not what's happening right now. And that kind of leads me into where I wanted to start today, which is this crazy Ukraine whistleblower gate saga thing it's blowing up, and it's so nuts. It's so crazy, and it's made
another
people
gate.
It's another gate, dude. There's so many gates.
What?
It's unbelievable. And what I want to do, because like we've said before, we're just a couple dudes having conversation. I'm not some pundit who's an expert in this field or what have you. It's strictly conversations being had by two guys that have regular everyday lives, that do regular everyday things, and we're trying to get to the bottom of what's up. And I think, at least from where I'm sitting, it's kind of clear to me, at least in my mind, where this is all going, why it's happening, what some of the different angles are, and it's all connected, dude. Everything.
It's crystal, man. It's clear. I think to more people than just, people that think in similar ways to you and I think that this is so blatantly twisted and skewed and not accurate as to what happened with this phone call that even people that are never Trumpers and Orange Man bad people, this is like, okay, come on. Really?
Right.
It's asinine.
It really is, dude. It's absolutely crazy. And I think I really think that we're about to see some of this stuff really come to light. Like, I think the lid is coming off, and I think what we're witnessing is a little bit of a panic amongst these deep state thugs that think they can just shape the narrative however they want to, and it's just going to work out in their favor. And I don't think that's what's happening right now. And something very interesting, to me at least, is also coming to light to a certain extent. To take things back a bit, think back to when President Trump was elected. I've had this back and forth with myself since then. Is Donald Trump the outsider, drain the swamp type guy that he claims to be, or is he just another deep state dirtbag that's in there causing a scene and creating distractions for us to debate about and tear each other to pieces over? What's going on there? And so there's always been that question for me, but this whole Ukraine saga, to me, it really clarifies things a little bit, and I'm actually a little bit more comfortable saying at this point in time that I really do believe that President Trump, while he may not be doing exactly what he said he was going to do, I think that he's doing everything he can at this point to figure out and get to the bottom of what's going on. And I think because he's doing that, these folks are really in panic mode. They try to shut him up with Russiagate. They've tried to shut him down, 6 ways from Sunday. But at this point, they're starting to realize that they just have to go into full-blown beast mode on this situation, because this.
And if you look at his response to this whole thing, I feel like he hasn't even taken it seriously. When they aired that interview between him and the president of the Ukraine, he just doubled down on what he said in the phone call. Because it's clearly not what the media is reporting it to be. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm sitting here talking about a real problem with the leader of another country, and he is as concerned about it as me. And we were talking about the sale of weapons. No, like lording things over each other. It sounded like a good conversation. If you read the transcript, it seemed like they both got along. And I feel like his response to that is he was not scared of this. He did not respond to it as a guilty person would, or you know what I'm saying?
Totally, dude. He definitely didn't. I think he's doubling down. I think the gloves are off, and I think we're about to see things, go to the next level here. So what I was hoping to do real quick, because I think there's this continuous conversation amongst people on the left that this guy is an illegitimate president, right? He's not even the president. Screw him. Hillary should have won. She should be the president. This guy, and you hear...
Why isn't he the president?
Because he didn't win.
Why is he illegitimate?
They say that he stole the vote from Hillary and that Hillary won the popular vote. So screw this guy. He's not the legitimate president of the U.S. Blah, blah, blah. It's just a bunch of,
there's more people in California than there are in, half the states of the U.S. So because Hillary won California, she should be the president?
Well, here's the deal, man. Contrary to popular belief, the presidential election it's not a national election, right? It's what it actually is it's a collection of 50 individual state elections, okay? And we in the U.S., we use the Electoral College system, which kind of levels the playing field, if you will.
It does.
What happens is citizens in their respective states, they go to the polls every 4 years to vote for the president, and their votes are tallied on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November in the election year. All right? So following this, each state's electors, and the number of which is equal to the combined total of the state's membership in the Senate and the House of Representatives. So that's how many electors each state is assigned.
Yes.
They cast their votes at that point based on the outcome of their respective states' popular votes. So the state election is a popular vote, and then the national election is an election carried out by electors from each state who cast their votes based on the popular vote of their respective states. So that's the way we do things. That's the way it's done. So the popular vote, tallied total number of votes countrywide, that's irrelevant. Means nothing. Doesn't mean a thing. And just like you said, when you have the reason that the playing field is leveled that way is because you'd have folks in Chicago, New York, L.A., San Francisco, yada yada, they'd be the ones deciding elections if we did vote based on a popular vote. And that
100%, yes. And the voices, the reason the Electoral College is such a beautiful thing is that the voices of people in states that maybe some of these larger, entities that you just mentioned don't think matter a whole lot get to have a say in who leads the country. It makes sense to me. I'm a big fan of it.
Totally, man. And I just to lay it on the line, it would make sense to me no matter who was the president, right? It doesn't matter who's in office.
100%.
God forbid if Hillary Clinton had won the election and she had won by the Electoral College, we would have to shut up and put up. It would just be the way I personally believe the majority of folks on the conservative side of things, that's how they do business. You don't hear a lot of kicking and scratching and screaming and crying when a Democrat president is elected. What you hear a lot of,
you don't.
Yeah, you hear people expressing their displeasure, but it's never to the degree that we're dealing with right now. So just getting that out of the way, because I think that
real quick, man, I'm sorry to cut you off, but even if the conservative party, even if the Republicans wanted to complain and moan and groan and create gates to try and sabotage elections and ruin the legitimacy of a Democratic president, they wouldn't be able to, because none of the mainstream media outlets, even Fox News, which we all know is run by Democrats, would not buy into it and sell their message. The reason Donald Trump is so easily treated the way he is because the mainstream news outlets are tools of the left.
That's 100% correct, dude. There's no other, you can't argue that. There's just no arguing it. I'm not even trying to be a jerk here. That's just the reality, and they're open about it. So that kind of gives us license to state what you just said as a fact.
For sure. For sure.
So we have that, right? But the reason I wanted to talk about that a little bit is just I'm so tired of hearing this illegitimate president thing, and we've got Hillary Clinton coming back into the picture, and more on that here in a little bit because it's obviously.
Man, I'm chomping at the bit, man. When I hear she is coming back,
she's coming back, dude. That. Mark my words, and in the words of the great John C. Dvorak, she will be the Democrat nominee. Period. That's just going to happen.
The pieces have fallen into place.
It's all working for her,
that he
dude.
laid out 3 years ago. It's coming to light.
It's all
Everything
working.
that needed to happen to the Democratic Party in order for her to consider another run has happened.
It has, man, and I want to get into that, but real quick, two significant points I want to make moving forward. There were some changes made that, just to get back to the whistleblower thing, there were some changes made to some key areas on the Democrat side of things that are worth pointing out in order to kind of put things in context when we start really getting into this whistleblower gate thing. Do you know what those are?
No. Enlighten me.
Okay, so, and I'm going to quote here, I'm going to quote the Conservative Treehouse, fantastic website. They do great work. I'm going to read directly from this piece by the Conservative Treehouse. So they say, back in December of 2018, Conservative Treehouse noted the significant House rule changes constructed by Nancy Pelosi for the 116th Congress seemed specifically geared towards impeachment. Following?
Mm-hmm.
All right. With the House going into a scheduled calendar recess, those rules are now being used to subvert historic processes and construct articles of impeachment. So basically what they're saying is whatever this rule is, this rule change, it's going to further enable the Democrats to file letters of impeachment and essentially making it easier, the path to that simpler. Conservative Treehouse...
Sorry to cut you off, but shouldn't they have filed, like, all they have to do is turn these files in, and then it goes to Congress, correct?
So, okay, so historically, what they do is they vote on it in the House, and that's kind of what this article is referring to, because what they'll do is they'll vote for it in the House before it goes to the Senate. They'll vote to impeach a president in the House, then it goes to the Senate for trial, for essentially the equivalent of a trial. But back to the piece real quick. They continue, a formal vote to initiate an impeachment inquiry is not technically required. However, and this is key, there has always been a full House vote until now. So leading up until now, any impeachment process that's gone down, there hasn't been many, just to put that out there. 2, I believe, have actually happened. Until now, the House has always voted on that, okay? But when Nancy Pelosi enacted this little rule change, what they're doing now is they're just moving forward without that vote. Does that make sense?
So if not everyone is on board, the speaker can just push this through?
Right. The speaker can just push the vote, or they can just push impeachment through to the Senate without holding a vote in Congress. Okay, so this article goes on to say the reason not to have a House vote is simple. If the formal process is followed, the minority, in this case the Republicans, would have enforceable rights within it. Okay, without a vote to initiate, the articles of impeachment can be drawn up without any participation by the minority and without any input from the executive. So, essentially, if the Republicans have no hand in the articles being initiated, the speaker of, whether they're on the Dem side of the aisle or the Republican side of the aisle, they can just push the initiate through, and it goes right to the Senate. Okay, so that's one key little thing, and this happened. Let me just make sure I'm tracking. So it was reported on in December 2018. So what's that? 8 months ago now? 9 months ago?
Yeah, nine months ago.
The other thing is it's being suggested that the whistleblower complaint form was also altered. So you've got Nancy Pelosi putting this rule in place to where, and granted, the process was informal up until this point, but it doesn't take away from the significance, right? Leading up till now, when impeachment was being initiated, the House voted, and that's how they determined whether to, truly initiate the process and send it on to the Senate. Now that's not happening. And in addition to that, you've got this whistleblower complaint form being altered to where you no longer have to have firsthand information in order to file a whistleblower complaint.
How convenient.
Exactly, dude. So it's super convenient because, lo and behold, the whistleblower complaint that was filed in relation to the Ukraine call is secondhand information. So,
and can we just state for anybody who listens to this that when we say whistleblower, we are making quotation marks with our hands
100%
around that term.
This is not like when you think whistleblower, and it's obvious why they did it, man. They call this person a whistleblower because when people think of whistleblowers, they think of Bradley Manning.
Snowden.
They think of Snowden. They think of Bill Binney. They think of people that have they've done a great service.
That have actually spoken out against things that are a problem. And it immediately raises this individual to that status and the importance of what these other people have done, regardless of how their parties responded to these whistleblowers accordingly. Right?
100%, dude. It lionizes that individual. It puts him in the category of people like Ed Snowden, and then people just associate. It's word association, man. That's all it is.
Yeah,
and it's a typical. They do this kind of stuff all the time. But moving forward, this person is not a whistleblower. This is a spy. This is an operative. This was a political hit on a sitting president. No questions asked in my mind. That's what's happening right now. It has nothing to do with blowing the whistle. It has nothing to do with anything other than the continued cover-up of what these scumbags have been doing, specifically in relation to the Trump presidency and before that, the Trump campaign.